around the world.
Everyone knows the James Bond franchise, even if you've never seen the movies. You know the tropes, the villains, the gadgets. I've only seen one of the films, the last one that featured Brosnan as Bond, so I don't know everything, but I was a big fan of the James Bond Jr. 90s cartoon. It was an interesting offshoot of the main movies. I don't know how fans regard the series continuity-wise, but as an animated show, it was fun. Finally, a cartoon that doesn't just copy TMNT. Of course, there's some influences here and there. Funnily enough, coming from Fred Wolf, who produced the TMNT cartoon. I know there was a novel that first used the Junior title before the animated series, but they're not related. All the characters in the novel have no connection to the animated series. So what's different between the movie series and the Junior series? It follows the young nephew of James Bond, Bond Jr., who, like his uncle, saves the day from a villainous group, Scum. Saboteurs and criminals united in mayhem. Bond Jr. is less serious and skilled than his uncle, but he still enjoys the adventure and thrill of helping out when he can. The show is more comical than the Bond films, but nothing that crosses a line.
However, this time, I believe the yoke's on us.
Or ruins Bond Jr.'s personality. They made sure to never go into TMNT's humor or style. I do have a few issues. We don't really know how he was trained, and it's a bit confusing how he's allowed to act like James Bond Sr. without being directly tied to MI6. Also, the world is kind of all over the place with knowing the James Bond name. Some people know its reputation, but others don't. It's confusing.
Ah, yes. Mr. Bond. James Bond. Jr.
The bad guys, they're led by a man named Scumlord, who we never get to see how he looks. Always covered in shadow and has a pet dog. Yes, the show does have the feel of Inspector Gadget, from its animation style, the type of characters, to all the gadgets that IQ makes for Bond Jr. IQ? You didn't think Bond Jr. was the only relative in the series. Q had a grandson who also aids as Junior's trusted inventor and close friend. He's your traditional geeky character, but he's proactive in the series. I really liked all the stuff he invented. His gadgets are more creative than the movies, but they still fit in that realm. Bond Jr. works more closely with his friends through the show. Some characters are used more than others, but everyone has a purpose. Think Mighty Max character dynamics. The setting is different. It doesn't take place at MI6 like I said before. Instead, Bond Jr. goes to Warfield Academy Prep School. It's a very prestigious place, but Warfield in general is the weakest part of the series. It acts as a way to give Jr. and his friends obstacles to deal with. For example, the school doesn't know about him stopping Scum. They don't seem to recognize James's name. They don't even question his car. In the pilot episode, he flies in with the Aston Martin, with Headmaster Bradford Milbanks just going,
"We do not tolerate lateness or dust-raising entrances."
And he's an ex-military officer, but he's played as if he was just your ordinary principal of a school. They dropped the ball. It's like they mixed two ideas into one. Obviously, they wanted a place that could teach Bond Jr., but then they wanted all kinds of different characters that aren't learning to be spies. So you're going, what is going on here? They have a side character that tries to make this work. He's a former FBI agent and knows what Junior's doing. Burton does help in episodes, but I still don't know if Junior's sanctioned or not. Other main characters we have is Tracy. She's the third main, helps out the most when Junior needs backup. She has a good quick wit in situations, doesn't freak out during trouble. Probably learned a lot from her father being the headmaster of the school. What I liked the most was how good the cast was. There's always someone you end up hating. Either their personality is annoying, or they constantly get in the way of the hero, but no one crossed that line, at least for me. Even the antagonist character they had, Trevor, he's the guy trying to get Junior expelled from the school. He's that rich, pampered dick, thinks he's the best in the school, trying to snitch when they break out. But instead of him being like Byrne in TMNT, you don't know how much I hated that character. The writers avoided those issues. They also changed it up a bit. Usually if a show has a jock character, they end up being the bully like Flash Thompson in Spider-Man. Junior has a jock character, Gordon, but he's not dumb. Yeah, he's the muscle, but think of him like Rhinox from Beast Wars. He's the big goofy friend. He'll do stupid things like surf down the stairs, but he doesn't play around when they get in trouble. I haven't talked about the voice cast yet. We got some staple names. Susan Bluth's the voice director. We got Jeff Bennett playing Scum, Corey Burton doing Junior, and Susan Seal playing the cute nerdy girl that likes Bond Jr., Phoebe. This is the first role I saw of hers before she played Wuya in Shaolin Showdown, a very stark contrast between the two roles.
Oh, brother, what a line!
And this is the one character that's the closest you get to TMNT. She's like Irma, that awkward girl in the background doing dumb things in episodes. She's used infrequently. That's her main limitation, but at least not annoying. And because she's from a rich family, it does aid in several plot points. Now let's talk about villains. They're the key thing about James Bond. Do some of the classic villains make appearances in the show? Yes. They're mostly accurate. I'm going on my basic knowledge of them. I do know Dr. No is pretty different from the movie character, so a serious fan might have issues with him. But I do have to mention Odd Job. I don't know what the hell happened here, but I know how Odd Job looks. What is going on with him being crossed with a rapper and an exercise coach? The rest are original villains for the series, 99% affiliated with Scum, with only really 3 villains ever going against them or being a solo enemy. A lot of them have pun names, but I didn't hate any of them. How does the action translate into a cartoon series? Obviously, it's not going to be like the movies, but the level of action and danger still feels like a Bond film. They don't tippy-toe around attempting to kill characters.
Earthcracker's beam causes minor irritation, but at higher powers, and eventually it will blow her apart.
Other staples of Bond. The Bond girls do get their unique names, no innuendos like the movies, but still funny. We have Lotta De Niro and Haley Comet, for example. Stories, plot points. Episodes are mostly episodic. You can watch the majority out of order, but there is a continuity between villains and Junior. They bring back villains all the time, and they do reference past missions and problems they dealt with. It's loose enough where you can drop in, but things aren't just reset every week. Sadly, there's no conclusion to the series. We got 65 episodes, and that's it. It did get some books, comics, 2 video games. The comics weren't bad. I remember playing the Super Nintendo version. It was okay. It was a standard platformer. The NES version was more inferior. And I'm pretty sure James Bond doesn't make an appearance on screen. I say if you can find the series, it'll probably end up being on Amazon streaming at some point. There was no DVD release for it. Think of it like the Back to the Future animated series. It's a fun offshoot. It doesn't do anything bad to the main series, but it's not gonna satisfy you if you really love the main series. But still, give it a chance.